Well, thank you for attending the Montclair City Council meeting. And tonight we're going to adjourn this meeting in the memory of Deputy Sheriff Ryan Klinken-Romer. He was a deputy sheriff of the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department. And if you did not know the story, over the weekend he was killed in Palmdale by a coward. That's what the LA County Sheriff called him. He was a coward. He was found today. He's been arrested. And as far as I'm concerned, our police do a great job. Our law enforcement do a great job to protect us. So we're going to, again, adjourn the memory in his memory. And with that, I ask the police chief to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Because tonight, I want to show that we have a great police department, especially for our kids here in the audience. So I'm going to ask the city clerk to announce the person doing the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance.
So the invocation tonight will be given by Pastor Donald Rucker of the Christian Development Center, and the pledge will be led by Acting Police Chief Jason Reed.
Great, please stand.
And we give you honor tonight in Jesus' name. We thank you for this opportunity. This is not a religious moment where we just do something to occupy space, but we need your intervention. We need your assistance in this city. And we pray, Lord God, for our law enforcement officers. And we pray for the leadership of the police department, asking that you will watch over them and guide them and keep them safe as you have entrusted into their care the citizens of this great city. And then we pray for this council, these men and women who have sacrificed and dedicated their lives to service to you, because you say all authority is ordained of you. And you have entrusted into their care, Lord God, to protect, to watch over, to keep their citizens safe. So we plead with you tonight in the precious name of the Lord Jesus Christ, because you said if we lack wisdom, we can ask you to give it. And so that's what we need tonight. We need wisdom and insight so that you can download into these great leaders, Lord God, the strategies, the insight, and the wisdom that they need to continue to forge your predetermined counsel and will for this city. And Father, we thank you for that tonight. And we give you praise and honor because we already know your credit is good. You're proving yourself time and time again to be faithful. And also remember, Lord God, our little league team. Continue to bless them and watch over them. Give them great success this year. In the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, we pray. Amen.
Amen. Chief.
Everybody, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let's have roll call.
Councilmember Martinez.
Here.
Councilmember Rue.
Present.
Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
I'm here.
Mayor Dutre.
Present. I think Councilman Lopez, you have something you want to say?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. My apologies for those that watched the council workshop prior to this meeting. I was unable to attend since about Saturday. Our family has been faced with a household member, a dear loved one of mine very close to me, who is in the hospital in some very serious condition. It's possible that I may get a call that I may have to abruptly leave and go back to San Antonio Hospital, but I'm here for this meeting to try to address some of the issues that are on the agenda and cast votes here, but I would just ask for your understanding in that regard, but thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we have two presentations this evening, and we're going to begin to recognize our new police officers. I ask the council to please join me.
Hey,
All right, you gotta help us recognize new police officers. All right, here we are. It's all yours.
Thank you. We've already gotten 4 job applications from 4 of these young children today, so thank you. We have openings for you. When I'm old and gray, which more gray than I am now, hopefully you'll be out here protecting the city and working for Montclair PD, so thank you. Tonight, we have many more of these to come in the near future, but we want to introduce 2 of our most recently hired officers tonight. And I'll first start with Officer Isaac Mendez. Isaac, come on up. Go ahead and stand up there. Officer Isaac Mendez was born and raised in Riverside, California. Since he was a young age, he always knew he wanted to be a police officer and pursue a career in law enforcement, largely because of his passion for helping other people. After high school, he continued onto this path towards law enforcement by attending and earning a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from La Sierra University in 2019. After that, we were fortunate enough for him to apply with our agency, and we hired him and put him through the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Academy. It was a rigorous training academy, and he graduated there on September 8th of 2022. He's been with his wife Maggie for almost 8 years, and they have 2 beautiful children together, Luke, who is 3 years old, and Leilani, who is 2 months old. Officer Isaac Mendez continually thanks his family and friends for all the unconditional support they've provided him, and we welcome Officer Isaac Mendez. The second officer I'm introducing tonight is Luis Calvillo. Luis, come on up. Luis was born to the parents of Maria and Luis Calvillo. He's raised in Covina, California. He was active throughout high school, played baseball and football. Shortly thereafter, he began taking business courses at Citrus College, but he soon made the correct decision to switch his major to law enforcement, and I'm just kidding. But he decided, he decided during college that his real calling was law enforcement. This was largely due to, I believe it's a professor that you had that told cop stories like we all do, but one of the things that stuck out is that he mentioned how much he enjoyed helping others, and that's what lured you into this profession and to continue your education there, obtaining a associate's in criminal justice from Citrus College. At the young age of 21, Luis joined the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department, where he worked as a sheriff's deputy, mainly in custodial, in the custodial part of in the jails. Worked some patrol as well. He made the decision to join the Montclair family and lateral over here as a lateral officer, and is currently progressing well through the training program with our officers. So we're grateful that you made the decision to come on over, and welcome aboard, and I give you Officer Luis Calvillo.
Thank you very much, and this is great that you 2 are here, and we're looking forward to having more new officers, and obviously all of our great existing officers with us. So we're going to move on with the presentation. The next time, we're going to recognize both the Montclair Golden Girls Softball League and the Montclair Little League Softball League, Montclair Little League Baseball League, excuse me. I'm going to ask George Talise. Where's George? George? Hey, yeah, excuse me. Come on up, George. And then David Flores. Where's David? Is he here?
Don't be shy, guys. So the reason we're doing this recognition is back in 2020, we had the coronavirus episode that took place, and that shut down a lot of things, including our youth sports. And then when things began to reopen again in 2021, it was hard to get things going again. I know here in the city, our youth sports, trying to hire people, our after-school programs, for example, our youth basketball programs, we struggled to get hire people so we get those leagues going, so we get our youth busy and occupied again. And the same thing that happened here with both leagues. And in this case, these are volunteers. They don't get paid for this. These are volunteers, and they had to get their leagues going. And these two men stepped up, and I'm recognizing these two men here. I'm recognizing them, a team that both of these gentlemen have behind them that made this happen. And so I remember the first year started off slow with both leagues. There wasn't a whole lot of teams, and it has grown, has grown, and has grown because of these two men's leadership and the leadership of their team. And so now we have a lot of children that are both in the Little League and also in the Girls Softball League. So what I want to do is recognize both leagues, and I'll start with the Montclair Little League. And I want to give you a certificate of recognition of the hard work of yourself and the entire board and the coaches and the parents that have made it happen. And then I also want to recognize with a certificate of recognition of the Golden Girls Softball League. And again, I want to recognize yourself and all the coaches and parents and everybody else who have made it possible that our children, all children, not just the children of Montclair, our children in the region have a place to go, a positive place to be, and a place to not just win games, learn baseball, but learn life skills and make friends. So let's recognize both the leagues and all the parents and coaches and everybody else who've done the work. And I'm going to give it to David first. It's all yours, David.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Also, I'd like to acknowledge all the board members that are here from Montclair Little League. I know I received this up here, but I'm only here because of the board members. So if you're a board member from Montclair Little League, can you please stand up and let's give them a round of applause. And thank you to the police officers for taking care of the fields every time we have an emergency or something arises. Your guys' timing is excellent, and we appreciate it for looking out for the kids out there. Once again, thank you. Can you get a round of applause for the police department?
Check, check. He took all my thunder, so I don't even know what I'm going to say. But I'm going to piggyback off everything he said. Thank you to everyone up here. Really appreciate that. We can't do it without the city and all the hard work that you guys provide us, including the gentlemen out here and the new guys. Welcome aboard. It's a great city. I've been here over 30 years and very safe, and it's a great place. I wouldn't have took this position if it wasn't, right? But, if my board members could please stand up and recognize them as well, please. Cut me off already? I say without them, we can't do what we do. We really can't, but also it's the parents. The parents out there that are watching, they're all online watching us live, and that's, without them, obviously, we don't have these kids. So thank you, parents.
Well, thank you for coming for everybody. This is a great time if you want to leave. I know the police officers will love to take some pictures with the children out in the lobby. So again, thank you very much for coming.
Okay, now we're going on to public comment. This is an opportunity of members of the public that wishes to address the city council. You'll have 5 minutes. If you're in the audience, you want to address the council, you'll fill out a speaker's card, and to my left, and you'll give that to our clerk over here to my right, if you wish to speak from the audience. And if you're on Zoom, you hit the speaking flag indicator on your computer. If you're on the phone, you hit *9 if you wish to speak. And I'll ask our city clerk if she's got any speakers.
We do. We have 5 speakers tonight.
Okay?
One's going to be Bruce Culp, and he's going to be speaking via Zoom.
All right, Bruce is on Zoom. Perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yes, Bruce.
Thank you. About a year ago, July of 2022, I think, and even before that, I, as a resident, and I know Mayor John Dutray made some requests to the city manager to provide costs involved in the sexual harassment suit by Ben Lopez against 2 city employees. I don't know who's in charge, but I don't know if the city manager just gave the finger to us residents or the managers or the mayor of Montclair, but I thought it was him who was supposed to provide that when there's requests from the council. So if that's the case, I haven't heard that there's been a report made or put out before the council or made public. I haven't seen anything. It's been over a year now. If he's in charge and he doesn't have to follow those directions, then that I didn't know that the city worked that way, but I was under the understanding that the city council directs the city and city staff to do follow directions that are submitted to them. So what I'm looking for is if it was forgotten or if he said no, if somebody in the council can make a request to, again, make a motion to provide that, because we as residents have no idea what the costs are at this point. Could it be maybe it doesn't cost the city anything for a sexual harassment lawsuit. Maybe those things are free. Maybe the staff are volunteering their time to do this, but I think it's probably a little bit more expensive. And I, as a taxpayer, feel that that I need to be represented and understood what the costs of my tax dollars are going to. And I listened to the city budget meeting and didn't hear anything about it. So where's this money coming from? Where is it going to? How is this being done? And I'd like to get an update on whether Ben Lopez has completed his special sexual harassment training up to this point. And we need to know these numbers because, if they're in the thousands and they're being hidden from the public view, that's not right. We're allowed to understand these costs. We're the ones spending the money out of our taxpayer dollars, and it's not right to hide these costs from the public. So I would ask that somebody in the city council, unless you advocate for sexual harassment, maybe, I don't know, to get this taken care of, and so that we as the public can make a determination as the year comes up when it's time for city councils to come up for election. We need to know who we support and who we don't. So please get that taken care of. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, thank you, and I would suggest if you want to make a public records request from the city clerk's office, that's probably the best procedure you can do under California law. And as far as other actions, you have any questions, I would suggest you contact the city attorney's office regarding any legalities regarding this matter. So, let's have our next speaker.
Our next speaker tonight is Bill Kaufman.
To be very brief, I see that we have a resolution that we're going to discuss tonight relative to Cannabis Control Board. I only hope that we can move quickly because, again, we have a ideal spot in the city if we can move quickly enough to put a legal cannabis dispensary in. So I'll wait till we hear the resolution. I think it's page 174. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next speaker this evening is Stella Mejia.
Stella. Hello.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm not sure if this is the exact place I should do it, but I'm kind of running out of options for myself. I live at the Carousel Homes in Montclair off of Holt Avenue, and we've been having a lot of problems with the unhoused. And I mean, problems like a gun was pulled on our postman, people climb over the wall and get into our yards. I had someone throw rocks and break my windshield of my car driving out. So there's a lot of people that come and go on that back street of Brooks. And it's our housing complex is connected to, or the back of, the Chino Water Basin. And we even contacted them, and it's been more than a year, and we still haven't gotten any. I mean, really, we just need to have fencing, better fencing, so that they can't just cut them open or pull their bikes over the top of the thing and then go through there and do whatever they want to do, and then, you know, damage is done. And now there's a park being built next to our complex. So now the people that are on that wall are going to also be connected to possibly whoever unhoused is going to hang out at the park too. So, I mean, it's just going to happen. So my question is, who can I talk to? Who can I get in touch with? I know that our property manager also is trying to do something too, but as far as the city goes, is there a program, or is there someone that's connected with the unhoused, to do things?
Well, we
for
have a
them, or-
team that deals with the unhoused or homeless situation. So I would suggest that maybe with Mike Diaz here, he'll give you his card, and then we have a team that, and perhaps the police department as well. And maybe we can get in contact with the Chino Basin District there and see if they can improve the fence, or maybe get rid of the chain link fence. That's part of the problem, because they cut through it.
It is.
And maybe
it
put a
is.
wrought iron fence or
Every day.
something else
Every day
to
they
make
cut
to
through it
improve
and
that. So
just go back there and do things.
Mike will contact you, or you can contact Mike. And if you have any questions, feel free to contact me too. You
Great.
can contact me by email if you like.
I appreciate it. Thank you
No
very
problem.
much.
Thank you.
Next speaker is going to be Gustavo Valdez.
Hello.
Good afternoon, Mayor Dutry and members of City Council. It's a pleasure to be here representing the Safe Routes to School Ontario Montclair community. My name is Gustavo Valdez. I'm a former student of El Camino Elementary in the city of Ontario. For the past 8 years, I participated with the community in Safe Routes to School, where we walk students to school, basically. As a student who walks to school, I want my friends, family, and acquaintances, and others to feel safe. El Camino is home to many students from the city of Montclair, and it would be an honor to have you and other members of the city council to walk alongside us and walk. Information about the event is contained in the packets you've been given. So thank you all for.
Well, thank you very much. Unfortunately, I have a meeting that morning out in San Bernardino, but maybe one of my colleagues, or at least one or two, can come out and join you guys that day on October the 4th at 7 a.m. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
We have one final speaker via Zoom, and it's Carolyn Raft.
Oh, thank you, Andrea. I don't know why my hand keeps getting raised, but on my iPad, but can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, yes.
Oh, okay. You disappeared on me. I want to make sure. I did send all of the council members a update on our problems with mosquitoes, which thank God in Montclair is still low. But also I sent you a question and answer on the people that the internet, I guess, is giving misinformation on the sterilized mail program. So I sent it to you. So I hope that you were able to, I hope you got it, and I hope you understand. And if any guys ever need any questions, please give me a call. Okay?
Thank you. Have a good day or evening.
Thank you.
All right.
And that's
believe
our
that's
final
it.
speaker.
Okay. All right. So we'll now go on to public hearings. I'm going to open up the public hearing for this one item, which is the second reading, adoption ordinance number 23-1004. We don't have any speakers on this item. Doesn't look like it. No speakers on this item. I'm going to close the public hearing and bring the matter back to the city council. Any comments, questions? If not, can I get a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move the item as presented
Okay,
to be
second?
read by title and number only.
All right.
I will second.
Second by Councilmember Rue. All right, let's do electronic vote. All right, everybody got it? Vote. Okay, 5-0, thank you. The next item is the consent.
She got to go ahead and read the.
Oh, go ahead and read it.
Ordinance 23-1004, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Montclair amending section 3.08.010 of the Montclair Municipal Code related to informal bidding procedures for certain public works contracts pursuant to the Uniform Public Construction Cost Accounting Act.
Great, thank you. Now we'll go to the consent calendar, and I'll start with my right. Anybody on my right that want to pull any consent calendar items?
I do, Mr. Mayor, I have several.
Go ahead.
Item B9,
B9,
yes.
okay.
C like Charlie 1,
C1,
C like Charlie 4,
C1, C4,
C6,
C6,
D1 and 2.
okay. All right, how about my right? Any other items to be removed on my right? Unless they have, Mary removed? Go ahead.
I had several, Mr. Mayor. Also B9, B10, C1, and C4.
All right, so we'll start with item B9, which is the flashing stop sign. So I'll start with Ben on this one then.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, for the public's knowledge, as many has probably noticed, if you drive down the city of Montclair, we are the city of flashing stop signs now, and that's for a good reason. A total of 182 flashing stop signs have been put up at 101 locations. My question goes into the next part of that, in that there's 20 additional installation of signs yet to be done. Are those additional 20, are they, one, paid for as a part of the initial program? They just were 20 that were delayed and not installed? And then I had a question regarding the grant one, but with respect to the 20, city staff is installing those ones, correct? Yes. And what was the reason why they were separated from the initial 180?
Because we identified locations that we wanted to get done all at one time by a contractor. If we had staff do it, it would take, I don't know, a year, 2 years to install them. So we wanted to do the majority of the ones around schools and other concerned intersections first by the contractor, and the remaining can be done by the city, by city crews.
When do you anticipate those remaining 20 being completed by?
I would say by the end of the fiscal year.
Fiscal year, okay, all right. And then regarding the grants for the additional ones, I believe the grants are in green, so that's tentative. I know I had asked the city manager with respect to a flashing sign on Orchard and Pradera, because there were residents in that area that lived there that were wanting a sign there. Now, the grant, we already submitted the application to receive the funds?
Yes, so we were granted funds to do it, but we haven't even signed any documents or agreements yet. So that will be, it could take another year or two before those signs are placed as part of other improvements around the schools and, yeah.
So the funds have been awarded to us?
Yes.
And we have received them in the bank so far?
No.
Okay.
So we haven't even signed an agreement yet with the Highway Safety Improvement Program grant. So, but as soon as we do, and then we can start the process to do the same, which is go out to bid for all of those. And that includes other improvements as well, other safety measures as well. So.
And that's why it'll take up to a year perhaps for them to get installed?
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for the clarification, but once again, thank you to staff in your department and others for putting these up so swiftly. we appreciate it. I know the public is real appreciative of them, so thank you.
Okay, Denise?
My questions have been asked and answered. Thank
Okay,
you.
anybody else on this item? If not, we'll go to item B10. I believe that's yours, Denise?
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, thank you. The question that I have is for the firearms that are being sold, are these the ones that are no longer being used by officers, or are they going to be in pause between this one and the purchase of the new ones?
I'm sorry, I heard the first part of the question,
So the firearms that are being sold, are they obsolete or no longer being used by officers?
no, there's we have a large amount of those weapons now in our stock at the police department. Only a few members are carrying that item. I'm one of them. So once the sale is complete, those will be exchanged for the amount of money used to purchase the helmets.
Okay.
Yeah, so if I'm answering your question, I'm not. I'm
You
sorry.
answered my question.
Yes, I'm
Okay.
sorry. Yes, they are. There will be there'll be no gap in someone being provided the equipment needed to go out there. So
Where I was going.
yes, so there's also if you in the agenda, there's a staggering of the sale of these firearms until we fully transition to the new ones. But it'll only affect a few people, but those people will still have department issued firearms until the change is made.
Thank you for that clarification.
No problem.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? If not, we'll go to item C1, which is the award of a contract. Denise?
Yeah, I just had one question. Apparently, there was a bid irregularity, and I did not see in the staff report what the irregularity was.
The irregularity was that the company that received the bid award is Pub, and their engineering, they used the engineering estimate to base the bid amount, the 10% bid amount requirement on. So they actually bidded higher than they were required to. So we are just correcting that mistake that they made and allowing them to present the correct bid amount based on the 10% requirement.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So Ben, did you have C1
Yeah,
as well?
Regarding the dollar amounts, the total project is supposed to be 6.495 million. We received one grant totaling 201,552, and a second grant totaling 4.174 million. And in the staff reports, it states that the total grants are 4.375 million. And then on page 31, I don't know if there's a discrepancy or not, under fiscal impact, it states that the award from the California Department of Parks and Recreation per capita grant program was for 151,000 for playground equipment and support facilities. And then the second number for the Clean California Reimbursement Grant matches the number on page 29, but the grant total on page 29 for the first grant, the 201,000, is different than the 151,000. I'm wondering why the discrepancy.
My apologies, there's three different grants here. So the first grant that you're referring to, the one for the 200,000 amount, that is for the design of the project, and that money has been expended. The other two grants that you're referring to, the 151, 154, is for the purchase of playground equipment and support facilities, and the $4.2 million is from the California Clean Grant, and that is for the development of the park.
So the total project's going to be 6.4 million and change. We've managed to secure through grants 4.375, and there's a difference of 2.1 million. And that you're, based on staff report, that's going to come out of the lease revenue bond funds?
The balance above the amount that we've received from the grants, yes. That is the recommendation from staff.
Okay, all right. That's
And
what
I
wanted.
do want to note that the amount for the design is not a component of the $6.4 million. That's for the construction related to the project.
Okay, thank you, sir. Thank you for the clarification.
Anybody else? Okay. How about item C4? So Denise?
Yes. I have a question about this design, and I think the thing that really got my attention is that the basketball court is being moved. I'm not sure I understand why that's happening, but and I know this is just about the design. This is not the actual construction. This is just about the design. But I want to make sure that the new basketball court is constructed before the old one is demolished, because that's an important resource for the community, and I don't want that to go away. And then my other question was, why do we need to relocate the basketball court?
Because the location of the current basketball court is where the new stage will go for all of the presentations in the park, including the Country Fair Jamboree, when we have concerts there, and other types of concerts during the summer as part of our summer concert series. All of that will be performed on that stage, which will use the existing area where the basketball court is. It's necessary to have that stage back up against the community center building so that it has the backing of that building to provide security for the stage. And then the basketball court will probably be relocated to the area where we currently are doing the movies in the park. It'll be a up-to-date basketball court. It'll have better lighting, and it'll be a better experience for the individuals who will be using it. So it's a good upgrade.
So the stage is permanent, unlike the one that we have now?
And the stage, yes.
Oh, okay, all right. Thank you very much.
Okay, I think, Ben, did you have a question?
Yeah, on page 92, please. Some of the improvements that the master plan will include. On the second and fourth bullet point, the second one states, new memorial garden with seating, plaque location, sculpture, and the new fountain at south entrance of Building 1. Building 1 is here, City Hall. The existing plaques on the wall, are you guys anticipating moving those?
No, I anticipate that those will remain, primarily because to remove them would cause significant destruction to the block walls, so we don't want to do that. So we do need to find a location where we need to place additional plaques, however, and that is one of the objectives of this upgrade.
Perhaps adding a new wall somewhere?
Well, part of the plan, at least as I've envisioned it, is to take the circular area out here where we have that round garden and create a circular wall around there and do a new planting inside of that and have that higher wall an area where we could place plaques. But that's just my vision. We'll have to wait to see what the designer comes up with.
As long as they can't be tampered with, of course, that would be ideal. And then secondly, I noticed the Spirit of Freedom Monument. I know for those that don't know where that is on the corner of Palo Verde and Monte Vista. It is currently under construction with the freeway expansion, and it was the smaller version of the Washington Monument with the circular bronze sculpture on there. The sculpture's been removed, but of course the cement slab is still there that is erected going up. Where are we considering replacing and putting that? I'm assuming city has possession of that circular bronze thing as it is, but is the existing little monument going to be demolished? Okay, I figured so. And then eventually, what do you envision that Spirit of the Plaza to be in the future?
Well, we don't know yet. We've had some commercial vendors make a proposal for the site, but at this point in time, we have not developed a design plan for that location. We're waiting until the construction is completed to see what kind of damage is done to the park and what remnants are left over and whether it makes sense to keep it as a park or use it for some other purpose. But very likely it will be less of a park and more of just a maintained green space.
Okay. In my opinion, just stating my opinion, it never really was much of a park anyhow, because there was nothing green there. But I would like for that place, that spot, to be memorialized somehow, that there used to be a resident there, and it was an older woman that lived there many years by herself, and she was very much a part of Montclair's history. Everybody knew the old lady on the corner and her house. Everyone looked out for her. And I'd like that spot to be memorialized in some way with respect to her holding that property for, gosh, I don't know how many years. Bill may know. He's our de facto historian here. So at the same time, I also would like the caboose, the significance of the caboose to be there, since we relocated it where the existing skate park is to that site. Just for posterity and historical perspective, I'd like those to be incorporated into that, please.
And to incorporate into the design of the Civic Center, you're saying?
No, I'm saying the caboose, well, it could be, because the caboose was here as well, but the caboose used to be on that location that is presently being used by.
But this is the Civic Center you're speaking of, the master plan.
Well,
Mr. Mayor,
I think you're thinking of a plaque or something, right?
something significant, marking those,
Yeah.
the residents, the home there, and the caboose.
You're talking about Paula Verde and Monte Vista, the corner there, so, okay. We'll just even get a plaque there. All right, and then I just have a, oh,
Mr. Mayor, if I
Go
may, I
ahead.
have one more question. I know this is about the design, and I know according to the staff report that we anticipate the design will be completed no longer than spring of 2025. And I also understand after that, we'd have to talk about it again and go through an RFP program. But my question is, you probably don't know the definitive answer, but if you could give me a guess, when do we think this entire project will be completed?
Well, I certainly hope that the design is completed much sooner than 2025. I would hope that it would be completed sometime in 2024, and then we would proceed with construction in 2024 with potentially completion in 2025.
Okay, I thought I read something different in the staff report, but I like that better. Thank you.
okay. And the only thing I caution, not about the basketball courts relocating, just if they're gonna be close to residents, we might wanna notify the residents and make sure they're not being interfered with lights or with noise and other things there, so that's the only caution I have there. All right, let's go down to C6, Homeless Service Award of Grant. I think that's you, Ben.
On page 136 of the staff report, the paragraph that begins, the city's successful application for HHAP 3 funding will be utilized to provide a comprehensive outreach program provided by the Code Enforcement Division with the goal of providing rental assistance and rapid rehousing. The goals of the HHAP 3 program include preventing 50 households living, housing insecure and/or at risk of homelessness, preventing 20 households at imminent risk and becoming homeless through system-wide diversion, prevention, and/or eviction prevention strategies, and moving 4 super utilizers to permanent housing. The amount that does it state the amount we were given? Hold on. Is there an amount listed?
Yes, it's around $98,000, $95,901.
Okay, thank you. When I read this, of course, a thought came into my mind. That money that we're going to expend to provide these services for these families and individuals, I'm not against that at all. More than likely, those funds will be spent on entities outside the city, right? To provide those services?
It's spent on whatever available services are local, as well as, if not local, then outside the city, but a lot of the housing would be local in Montclair.
Okay. I'm going to piggyback on an issue that I've brought up, and I'm not the only one that has brought it up, but had we had already some type of housing facility for at least veterans, some of this money could have been expended on that venture and that program. And I would rather see something like that going forward, where a housing facility, at least for veterans, even in a trial stage, being implemented and enacted in this city, and these funds can be expended in the city to benefit, even if they're temporary, residents here. I applaud this, I'm for it, I'm gonna vote for it, but I just think we need to start thinking here within the borders of providing housing ourselves. I know there's a different opinion as to the strategy and the approach, and that's fine, but for us, I think we're missing out on some dollars because other cities in in LA County and in the San Gabriel Valley are getting great utilization out of funds basically handed to them by providing housing to veterans already themselves. And it is foolish of us not to seek those funds and get into those programs. I know Senator Rubio's a big proponent of those programs, and I think we need to enact that. And I wish we would do it sooner rather than later, but nonetheless, happy for the program, and thank you, Code Enforcement and the Rutgers for their involvement in this, and all of the parties that are involved in providing clothing, housing, even hotel rooms for these folks, but even long-term housing for them, so that way these folks can never, homelessness is in their rearview mirror and it's not in the mirror ahead of them. So I thank you for bringing this forward, but I want to raise that issue that I think we need to start looking at investing any money we get 100% within our city borders. Thank you.
So for clarification, these dollars are administered by the San Bernardino County, and they tell us how the funds can be used. We submit an application with perspectives of how we intend to spend the money, but the county has a very rigorous structure in relation to that as it also relates to your question or statement rather about dollars for veteran housing. Nothing prevents veterans who are homeless from participating in these programs. In fact, oftentimes, a lot of the participants are veterans, and so they're certainly not excluded. But I also need to point out that Los Angeles County advocates much more on behalf of homeless residents of their county. San Bernardino County has not been the greatest of advocators on behalf of homeless. In fact, San Bernardino County has lost millions of dollars because of their lack of acting on available funds. Right now, we are currently working with Supervisor Hagman. In fact, Mayor Dutray and I have met with Supervisor Hagman regarding our desire to obtain additional funds from the county so that we can develop the types of programs that members of the City Council would like to see, and hopefully we will be able to secure some funds. I can't say when that will be, but that is certainly our effort and working towards that. Whether or not those funds would be adequate to develop a housing structure for homeless or for veterans is another question. The county only has so much money, and it just basically depends on what we are able to do with what we receive from the county, as well as the monies we have generated as part of our affordable housing program. In addition to that, as the council knows, staff plans on bringing before you for your consideration later this year the inclusionary housing ordinance, which will allow us to create additional funding for affordable housing, which will allow us then to contract with or negotiate on behalf of affordable housing developers so that we can build housing that may be specific for the purposes that the council desires.
I appreciate the explanation. I just want to go on record. I want a housing facility for seniors here in Montclair, and I want us to be the first on the West End. That would be, I think, ideally.
Okay, we have lots of housing for seniors in Montclair.
Sorry, I said veterans. I meant veterans, sorry.
Okay.
All right, Councilman
Concur,
Rue.
Councilman. I too have been talking about the plight of homeless veterans for a long time. I think it's just morally wrong to say, oh, you're a homeless veteran, we have a program for you, but you'll have to go to Yucaipa or Victorville or Adelanto or San Bernardino. We need to take care of them right here. We do beautiful things on Memorial Day and talk our hearts out about our veterans, and yet when it comes to a homeless veteran, we're willing to say they can go somewhere else. There's a lot of programs out there. I could point you to them. I know about VASH vouchers, everything else. I've done a lot of research on it. But Councilman, you're right. Some of the other cities, I can tell you, and it's a model for Southern California, the city of Baldwin Park, although not specific to veterans, created 2 tiny home villages. The first one was 2 years ago. They opened another one in August of 2022, and they've reduced homelessness. There were 550 homeless individuals in 2020 in their city. Today, that number is 90. The programs work, especially with veterans. You can move them through the system rather quickly because they have services. In Pomona, they have a veterans village. It is on Commercial Street between Park and Parcels. It is for veterans who are single and families. They have a full-time VA center right there for the veterans. Many of these veterans are able to then transition back into society with regular jobs, doing good things, and I think we can do that right here. I will say I am embarrassed that this county, which has said, oh, we don't get our fair share of money, we need to be our own state, turned down $4.4 million in homeless money. They're getting their fair share. They just don't want it for homeless. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I would say this, that staff is really working hard on this issue. If you have a chance to talk to staff, I would suggest you do that. They're working on a plan. There's a lot of variables to the plan they're working on, in my opinion. That's why it hasn't been presented to you yet, because they have to work through the variables, including in the funding sources. I will say this one about LA County. They have homeless money for operations and also purchase for property, because the voters of LA County passed a proposition, I believe 2 years ago, where they added a sales tax, and that money goes towards homeless services, which obviously this county doesn't have that. So this counties rely upon mostly state funds and, of course, federal funds. So those are some of the constraints there. But I think we're working on a plan, and I will strongly encourage you to go out with code enforcement or police department. Gabe and Robert are doing a good job out there, and I really encourage you to go out there and ride along and really understand the issues we're facing out there. A lot of people on the streets that we consider to be homeless, unfortunately, have mental healthness and drug addicts, and you'll be surprised how many people on the streets will turn down help, don't want help. Classic example was a gentleman from Connecticut, came to California. He had skills in, I think, in welding or machinery skills. He was a heroin addict, and he said, I went through all those programs. The only thing I want now is I want $30 a day so I can get my heroin hit. I'm okay living underneath the bridge. The reason I'm here in Montclair, because it's safer in Montclair than it is in Pomona. And so, I again encourage you to go out there with code enforcement or the police department and really get a better understanding of this issue. But we'll move on. And the next item on the agenda now is D1, which relates to this resolution reaffirming the City of Montclair commitment to well-being and safety of all individuals. I think Bruce Cope there? Because I believe he requested to speak on this item. And I see Carolyn's hands up too. I don't know if Carolyn wants to speak, but we'll go to Bruce Cope on this particular item. Are you there, Bruce?
Hi, yes, can you hear me?
Okay, Bruce, you have 5 minutes.
Okay. Well, I noticed that Ben Lopez was the biggest advocate of this resolution the past couple meetings, trying to get it on the agenda. Found that quite ironic, being that he has made hate speeches against the LGBTQ community multiple times. He's sexually harassed a couple of our city employees. And so, the hypocrisy does not pass me by. So, I look at this resolution, and item number 3 says, we'll investigate all credible reports of hate crimes and incidents and threats against minorities and hold perpetrators of those crimes, incidents, and threats accountable. That's for the city of Montclair to do. City council, in fact. So, at this point in time, I haven't seen anything to hold Ben Lopez accountable for his actions against the city employees. You've done nothing. He sits there on the dais, makes votes. He seems to have gone held unaccountable for his actions. And I asked Ben Lopez, what will you do to hold yourself accountable for your actions against these city employees? This is not public comment. You can reply to my questions. I ask that you apologize to these 2 individuals for your actions against them. And I also ask you, if you want to hold yourself accountable, that you'll immediately resign from the city council. That way, this whole resolution isn't a bunch of BS. Thank you.
All right, any other speakers on this item? All right, so Ben pulled this. So Ben, when you start?
Mr. Mayor, as you know, the reason that I had brought this forward was at the request of Mr. Jason Moss, who was the executive director of one of the anti-Semitism organizations, a pro-Jewish organization. In speaking with him, he apologized that he was not here tonight on the night of final approval. He did ask for some language to be added to the resolution, because in his opinion, while we specifically state anti-Semitism as one of the protected classes in which we condemn hate against, he asked that this language be included, and his apologies for not attending relate to the significance of a Jewish holiday happening right now. Of course, Rosh Hashanah had just taken place on Saturday, and there's a 10-day subsequent observant that Jews observe during this time. So out of respect for his faith, he's not able to be here. But he asked for this, and I actually have copies for my colleagues, so you have it in front of you. Papers are sticking, I apologize. Here's one for each. Says, whereas the city of Montclair ensures its commitment to work with community-based organizations, advocacy groups, and officials, and agencies across local, county, and state governmental agencies to develop relationships and partnerships between groups that are targeted by hate. He had stated that although he applauds us for sternly cementing our position in stating that no one should be the victim of hate in all the categories listed, he'd like for the resolution, and the whole point of his organization asking for multiple cities to enact the resolution was to have a component showing that the city would work with agencies that are dealing with those victims of hate and basically extend an arm and an overture to them. And that is why he is asking for this subsequent language to be added, that I would respectfully ask that it be included in the resolution.
So anybody have any objections to it? Anybody, any concerns? No? The attorney's okay with the language?
And the resolution does not have the language that I specifically asked for a month ago. I don't have my notes in front of me. That says political expression, be it liberal or conservative. I wanted that specifically in there. There were no objections to it a month ago, and somehow conveniently it is removed. I can roll back, go on my phone and find the YouTube tape where it was asked to be included. There was no objection to it. And to be fair, I don't believe the exact language that Councilmember Martinez is in here. I don't see it clearly in the manner that she requested it as well. So I would like to go back to that footage or to that moment and make sure that those requests are included in the resolution.
Yeah, I want to say this.
At least mine.
Yeah, I read the resolution. I'm good with it. I don't want to go back and forth. This resolution expresses everything that the city stands for, and we keep adding more stuff here and there. I think this does it. I don't know if my colleagues agree with me. I'll let you guys speak, but Councilman Martinez.
Thank you. Really the whole purpose of this resolution is to ensure that our protected classes know that we stand with them, and political affiliation is not recognized as a protected class in California. I don't recall that that was specifically asked to be placed on the resolution. I do recall that there was some rhetoric that went that direction, and I'm happy that it's not on this resolution because I think that it does the opposite of what the purpose of the resolution is, which is anti-hate. When you get into your ideas about how you were unfairly treated because of the statements you made that were based on your religious or political ideology, what you're really talking about is the hateful comments that you made that you're trying to mask by saying they're politically based or religiously based. So I think the best thing to do is just keep political affiliation out and just keep the protected classes that are in here. And I did ask for gender expression, which I see on here, so I'm pleased. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, if I might.
You know, guys, it's a simple resolution. I don't think we should be debating. I don't mind adding the whereas in there. Anybody have an objection to whereas?
No.
Okay. Let's just word the word as, adopt a resolution. If you don't like it, then vote no. But I think we should move on. We've accomplished what we want. Everything's in here. Let's move on. Are you okay with that? I don't want to get involved in Chino Valley School District Ben, and I know we got to move on.
I have two instances that I just want to reiterate that would prove the point, sir. On political persuasion.
All right, make it quick.
Both sides of the aisle of both political persuasions, as I have demonstrated at the last meeting. One happens to be the Chino Valley School Board president who was subject to death threats in which the police arrested the individual because of her political beliefs. You have a shop owner in Lake Arrowhead who was shot and killed because of their political beliefs in the display of a flag. Both are wrong, both prove that they happen, and they happen in this county. Labeling someone that they're hateful just because of their opinion is not appropriate. None of these individuals, left and right, were of a hateful nature. They simply expressed their opinion, and that's what I wanted included in this. But let's go on the record that I'm the only one that would push for that protection, and we'll leave it at that.
Okay, let's go on to item,
Mr. Mayor, I did have a request to speak.
go ahead, Bill.
First of all, Judaism is a religion, so we do need to include religious expression in here.
Yep.
When I'm hearing that, oh, well, about religion, it is a religion. I also I did some research. At the last meeting, I heard things such as, well, this is a step in healing. I've heard a first step to go. We have so far to go. Society, yes. But I'm going to note some things I've researched in this city. As a governmental entity, we have not discriminated. I could find, and I researched from 1956 to 1964, did this city ever have restrictive covenants? 1964 is when they were taken out in the state of California. No, we did not have any restrictive covenants. We did not discriminate in housing as a governmental entity. Sundown towns. We were not a sundown town, thankfully. There's a very prominent city to the east of us and a very prominent city to the west of us, each about 30 miles west, 30 miles east of here. They were sundown towns. They did discriminate by governmental rule. We did not. There were cities in California that had voting restrictions. Montclair became a city in 1956. I could find no voting restrictions and no proof that we had literacy tests or anything of that sort. From what I can ascertain with hiring, we never discriminated in hiring. In fact, we hired women very early on in non-traditional positions. One of them was a young lady named Lori Page. Lori Page went on to become Lori Milheiser and has had its distinguished career in government service. I looked at elections to see if we had any discriminatory policies as far as elections. We did not. One of the first people of Hispanic heritage elected in this city was Dolly Lumen. Her maiden name was Guerra. We also elected Walter Hackett, 1/4 Native American. As far as hiring, we had an African-American city manager, an African-American city clerk. I can go on and on. I looked to see if we had discrimination in nightclubs, theaters, entertainment venues. We did not. Twice, the famous gospel singer Mahalia Jackson performed in this city and gave a concert, a benefit concert for our parks and recreation. There's no proof of discrimination because if we did, she wouldn't have come back the second time. I looked to see if there was any specific governmental, as a city, discrimination in business. I couldn't find it. What a private business is, they might have, but I couldn't find any proof of it. When the mall opened, we didn't as a city say they had to be closed trade, which meant restricted trade. It was open to everybody. Have there been times in this chamber that people have said things that are members of the public, maybe we don't like, we disagree with, that we find unseemly? Sure. But did we do it as a city? No. Have people probably been taunted walking down the street? Has somebody said something? Probably. But did we as a city do that? No. The Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, which we have sworn to uphold, talks about freedom of speech. We uphold that. Freedom of speech. It doesn't mean just speech you agree with. It's speech that you may disagree with. And in Voltaire, and yes, I'm going to plead guilty, I've read Voltaire, he said, I may disapprove of what you say, but I will defend your right to say it. I'm keeping 6 pages of research very short this evening. I agree with this resolution, but I do not believe that I could find any history that we as a city openly discriminated. We have a lot of different celebrations that go on in Southern California. Earlier this year, I talked about the hate crime that was committed in Monterey Park on Lunar New Year. Now, we do not officially have a celebration of Lunar New Year in this city. It didn't mean we don't mourn with those victims. We did. It didn't mean we don't recognize Lunar New Year on our banner out front. I hear people say about flying different flags. There are only 3 flags that fly in front of the City Hall, and I think they're the appropriate ones. One, the POW MIA flag. It's a flag that reminds us always of those who were prisoners of war and missing in action in every single war from 1776 until today. The flag of the state of California, which, by the way, California came in as a free state. Thank you, Thomas Starr King. And the flag of the United States of America. That's the flag that unites every one of us, every race, creed, color, everybody who's ever come to this country, united under that flag. People are still coming to this country to this day because of that flag, its promise, and what it means. Have there been things committed in the name of that flag that I disagree with? Oh, yes. But does that flag still stand for something? Absolutely. I agree with this resolution, but I'm not going to be one who sits here and says this city has a lot of healing to start, a long way to go. We as a city did not, as a governmental entity, discriminate. If residents did, that's their problem. But this city did not. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So we'll move on to the next final item, which is D2 regarding the cannabis grant. And I believe that was Councilmember Lopez.
Yes. Just in reading the title of the item on the agenda, it implies that we would begin the process of dealing with the California Department of Cannabis Control, that we would get a grant for the development and implementation of a commercial cannabis licensing program. However, we technically cannot fully operate without the ordinance in place, correct, Mr. Starr?
Yes, that is correct.
And when do you, staff, intend to introduce to the city council an ordinance to consider and maybe start analyzing and offering suggestions on it so we can adopt an ordinance so that the commercial cannabis entities can begin applying?
I don't anticipate it'll come before the city council sometime earlier than the first quarter of 2024.
Okay. I had received word that staff has told one interested party that an ordinance would not get brought up to the end of 2024. Why is there a discrepancy from what staff is saying to what you're saying today?
I don't know where that statement came from, and I'm just stating my position that I believe that we will start working on it later this year and probably bring something in front of the city council sometime in the first quarter, certainly no later than the second quarter of 2024.
Okay, I would hope it'd be sooner than later. The voters approved this, where are we now, 23? They approved it last year, 10 months ago. We've obviously been dealing with this issue even before I was on council. I think the voters that approve this particular allowance of the establishment of cannabis entities would like for us to act sooner than later. So I would strongly ask that we stick to the timeline of the first quarter or no later than the first 6 months of 2024, please.
Well, I understand, and I want to remind the council that staff had actually developed a rather lengthy ordinance that we had presented to the city council back in 2019, and in recent conversations about the further progress related to bringing a cannabis ordinance before the city council. At least 2 members of the city council indicated their rejection of that ordinance, did not stand behind it, and therefore staff got the perception that we needed to move forward with development of a new ordinance, and we are in the process of doing that, but because we are starting from scratch, it is going to take some time for us to develop it.
Very well.
All right, so we're done with all the consent calendar items, and can I get approve a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Johnson, second by Lopez. And let's take a roll call vote, or electronic vote.
With the added language from the whereas section, correct?
The whereas on the item D1. I don't
Yes.
believe nobody objected to that whereas language, so.
John, I'm sorry, Mayor Dutray, is that the paper that was handed out? Is that
Yeah.
what we're referring to?
Yeah, everybody's okay with the whereas language. The city attorney's okay with it too, so, yep, all right. So we're 5-0. We'll go down to communications, and I'll start with Rosemary. Is Rosemary in the audience? This is regarding the groundbreaking ceremony.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the City Council, Mr. City Manager, city staff, and residents of Montclair. I wanted to take this opportunity to invite you all to a groundbreaking ceremony for Sunset Beautification Park on September 27th at 9 o'clock. The park is located off of Orchard, approximately 1,000 feet or so east of Mills, just so you know where the park is located. This is a significant park improvement for Sunset Park. It includes completely renovating that park, including 2 new playground fields, both in the north and the south side of the park, the addition of 2 restrooms, one in the north and one in the south of the park, the first segment of the San Antonio Creek Trail, and then also, among other things, also some exercise equipment along the trail, as well as new pathways for people to walk that'll be lighted. It's a really exciting project that is funded, as you indicated earlier when you approved the award of the contract, by the State California Parks and Recreation Grant, as well as the Clean California Grant and local funds. So again, we would hope that everybody will be able to come and join us at this groundbreaking ceremony on Wednesday, September 27th at 9 o'clock. Thank you very much.
Thank you. City Attorney.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have 3 items, all asking the council to meet in closed session. They're listed in the agenda. 1, potential litigation. Another one, labor negotiations regarding the city manager. And the 3rd is real property negotiations. So
1 and 3, first 2, and then the labor negotiations, city manager will be the last one for closed session.
certainly.
All right, city manager.
No items.
Great, thank you. I just have 1 item. I just want to again recognize, obviously, Labor Day here in September, and just recognize all the employees. I've already done so, but you guys do a great job. So thank you very much to all the Montclair employees. Again, National Grandparents' Day was last week. I want to recognize that. Mexican Independence Day also last week. Sunday was Constitutional Day. I believe tomorrow, the 19th, is PLW MIA Day. And then we also have Native American Indian Day. And of course, with the Jewish, in the Jewish community, there's Rosh Hashanah. With our Jewish community, want to recognize that. And then finally, September, October is National Hispanic Heritage Month. So I just want to recognize our Montclair residents of Hispanic origin. So I'll start with Councilmember Rue.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, I did attend the Chaffee College Foundation, the awards, and it was wonderful to be there. We saw many, many people we know. One of the people honored was Upland Mayor Bill Velto, who graduated from Chaffee Chaffee College, and has gone on to a successful career. Another was Randall Lewis. Mr. Lewis had taken courses at Chaffee College, and of course, he's well known in the region, and his family's long history and dedication to Chaffee and indeed the entire region. And they also recognized many different athletes, several other people. It was good to be there and good to see the community show up for a worthy cause. I want to report, I know Mayor Dutre and I did attend the Gold Line meeting last week. Progress is being made. It's going to get here, maybe not as fast as we want, but it's going to happen, and there's tremendous support. So I thank all of our partners, especially those in LA County, for their continued support on this. On September 15th, we acknowledged 60 years since the bombing of the 16th Street Baptist Church in Birmingham, Alabama, where 4 young children were murdered when the bomb exploded. It did tremendous damage to the church and is one of the catalysts that pushed the civil rights movement ahead. I have actually gone, when I was in Birmingham for a conference, I actually went to the 16th Street Baptist Church It is an emotional experience when you hear from the individuals there talk about that day. There are recorded histories of it, and let's hope it never happens again. On September 17th, I think the mayor mentioned it, was Mexican Independence Day. To all of our residents, entire region who are of Mexican heritage, we know that that is an important day for all of us, an important day in history. And, excuse me, that's all I have for this evening. And just one thing, Mr. City Manager, I have been, and perhaps it's in the email or was in my box, I missed it. I'd like a copy, if it's possible, of the letter sent to Senator Rubio in support of the Regional Housing Trust.
Okay, that letter has been presented to you a number of times. It's in a rather lengthy letter that, and a set of documents that goes a couple of hundred pages long. That is how she asked it be presented to her, that we wrapped it up in support of the Gold Line, the city's acquisition of the Caltrans property, a demonstration of the affordable housing projects that we've done in the city, as well as what our intent was with the Gold Line, with the Caltrans property for the construction of affordable housing, and to conclude with that, the city's support of Regional Housing Trust Fund.
So there was a specific letter just for that? Okay.
Yes.
It was wrapped up with the other things, because I know that that Regional Housing Trust is something we could have been able to join, but apparently we're going to go with San Bernardino County, and that's going to take 5 to 7 years, I guess, to get the money together. But
Legislation was introduced that would allow Chino, Montclair, and Ontario to join the San Gabriel Valley Housing Trust Fund. However, that bill was withdrawn by the senator, and at this point in time, the San Gabriel Valley Trust Fund is not agreeable to letting us join without further legislative effort.
okay,
All right.
I think she's going to continue that. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Lopez.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First of all, we welcome 2 new police officers to our ranks. The second individual that we recognize and welcome, I believe he says he was a lateral. So immediately I thought, was he one of our recently approved laterals before we? No, he wasn't. Okay. Okay. Well, darn. I was hoping he probably was. But anyhow, nonetheless, we're glad to have him. I'm glad he's with us amongst our ranks patrolling our streets. Wish them both well, and God's safety and protection on them and every other police officer within our ranks here in the city of Montclair. Thank you for all you do. It's very much appreciated. A lot of times it's a thankless job by some residents, but your work does not go unnoticed by those of us up here, and especially me. So thank you to all of you.
Great. Thank you.
I wanted to thank staff, I believe it was from Monica's department, with respect to the home on 9719 that the city of Montclair purchased. Residents on the street were very pleased by the quick response for the cleaning of the property with landscaping and whatnot and trash on the property. So thank you. Word is out on the street that the city responds quickly, and they're pleased with the way the house looks. So thank you for that, and staff, and Ed, thank you for your part in that as well. I appreciate that. I attended this past Friday, the Montclair High football game, and they defeated Ontario 42-0. It is the 3rd straight year in a row that they've defeated Ontario. Lieutenant,
Brian Ventura.
Yes, I was going to just say Brian, but I was trying to be formal. Knowing you outside of here informally, didn't want to be disrespectful, but Lieutenant Ventura gave did the flip toss, the coin toss. So it was good to see that you were recognized, sir, and had that opportunity from Montclair himself. So it was good to see that one of our own was out there. And the next home game for Montclair High School, I would really encourage residents to attend, is September 28th when they play against Covina. And our boys at Montclair High are undefeated 3-0. So it's looking, if they keep this trend up, they will be back at CIF again, which was a couple years ago they were there, going to the championship game, and that, of course, is the goal. So let's start revving up that support, people. Let's start going to those games, bring your blue and black, and let's support the boys there. This will be my final item. I am concerned about a repeated instance, and I know it's out of our control, but nonetheless, I think to be proactive, we need to address it. February of 2023, there was an incident, a pretty serious accident in Monte Vista and Harvard, going southbound Monte Vista, where the car went through a corner home and through the fence, through their brick wall, rather. April of 2023, a daughter-in-law of the residents that live on the corner of Monte Vista and Kingsley, was in an accident at that location. Just a week before that, a fence was taken out on the other side of the property by a vehicle at that same intersection. September 3rd, we had a very serious accident on Monte Vista and Kingsley. I know the circumstances are out of our control. September 10th, a serious accident where a car went through wrought iron fence on the corner of San Bernardino and Monte Vista. And then in August, residents have told me they've had a car come through the property on Canoga and Kingsley. I am concerned, Canoga and Monte Vista, sorry. I'm concerned, colleagues, that Monte Vista is becoming a bit of a nuisance by way of excessive speeding, and I dread the day that we have a serious accident where there is a fatality, although we've come pretty close recently. Thankfully, not so. And I think we do need to revisit. I know my colleague might disagree with me with respect to slowing speeds down, but I still think Monte Vista is a problem. The residents that live at these locations, all the way from the north, all the way down to Kingsley, will tell you there is. I asked a resident what they would like to see done, and I want to bring this up to staff. Very similar to those round circular concrete slabs that are in front of Target that prevent a vehicle from ramming through the front of the business. Residents would like perhaps the opportunity to erect some type of similar deterrent on their property or on the sidewalk there, particularly Kingsley and Central, to prevent a car from going through the home. Recent incident on that property, and some of us up here know the family that lives in that house. The bedroom at that corner, should a car come through it, is where the kids sleep, and they dread the day of a car plowing through the building there and into the kids' room. I know several families on that intersection, either Monte Vista and Howard, Monte Vista and Kingsley, Monte Vista and San Bernardino, would like, and Canoga and Kingsley, Canoga and Monte Vista, would like for the option to erect fences of some kind, barriers of some kind, to give themselves a buffer for those individuals that simply do not honor the law and respect the well-being of others from their disrespect becoming a problem on their property, and God forbid a serious fatality or injury happen. I would very much like for us as a council to discuss this at a future meeting if we could. I know there is a 30 percentile issue and some restrictions the state place on us, but at this point, the hell with that if we're going to have a fatality on this street, because then we're going to find ourselves in a very, very difficult bind. So anyhow, that was my last item. I promised residents at these 3 locations I would bring up the issue. I would like to see us act on it. Something clearly needs to be done. We just cannot have the chance of someone dying on our streets. And it's not just that street, there's others, but most recently, I've been paying attention to it since the beginning of the year, even on my hospital bed in February of 2023 of this year, those accidents taking place. Clearly, they're not stopping, and something needs to be done.
Well, it's unfortunate that we have a lot of bad drivers out there. A lot of them don't even have driver licenses right now. They're still out driving out there, and you know, you're going to see your insurance premiums go up by maybe 20%. Your automobile insurance premiums because of all the losses that the insurance companies are taking because of all these people who are being irresponsible, especially since the pandemic. I know we have a study at Monte Vista Avenue, right? We have a consultant aboard, engineers that's studying all that, Ed?
We do have a consultant on board, and obviously street design is something that we're always looking at. In fact, the systemic street safety analysis looked at street designs throughout the city and made recommendations. We'll go back and review that to see what it was suggesting in relation to these particular locations, if any. But meanwhile, we'll continue to look at street designs at these particular locations and others in the city where we continue to experience a significant number of accidents.
Yeah, but we have one from Monte Vista Avenue going on right now.
We have a street, when I talk about street design, I meant in the past, the way the street was designed,
right.
Was it laid out properly? Going forward, yes, we are getting ready to move forward with certain design elements related to Monte Vista Avenue, although that plan does not comprehend looking at past street designs and refiguring them at this point in time. But we will certainly take a look at those issues.
Yeah, maybe, well, I would ask staff that, let's see if there's some mechanisms, other things that, ballers we can put in or other things. So maybe at a future workshop, we can talk about this and other street issues that we have in Montclair. Ed?
Well, we can. I just caution that when you start putting up things like bollards which act as a barrier that causes significant trauma, not only to the vehicle, but the individuals who are passengers in the vehicle, the city is looking at a different level of liability that we need to be very concerned about. So we will examine alternatives. We will look at those street designs. We will look at the systemic street analysis and come back to the council.
Sounds good.
But has the city denied any present resident from either expanding or erecting a wall or barrier on their own that they're willing to pay for?
Yeah,
Has that been denied?
Well, if it doesn't comply with city code, it would be denied, yes. There are restrictions on height and materials in relation to front property fencing. So that would have to be evaluated as each submission comes forward from a resident.
Yeah, 3.5 feet is the maximum height on the front yard.
42 to 48 inches.
42 inches?
48 inches. is
About
the
48
maximum
inches,
height.
yeah, so they can put a block wall in the front.
Yes.
At
and
48
the
inch
city
max.
manager said if they follow the code
Yeah,
requirements, no
yeah.
one's been denied.
Okay.
Thank you for the indulgence of the conversation, at least.
All right. Councilmember, Mayor Pro Tem Johnson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. In the interest of time, I'll move quickly. The other day, I happened to drive past Alma Hoffman Park, and I had a few minutes to kill, so I thought I'd just get out and look and see what's been happening with the park. I was tickled to see the shark has a blue thing under it now, so it's like in the ocean, and I kind of walked around the perimeter of
Dive into it?
Yeah, almost. I walked around the perimeter of the gate, and I was really tickled to see what's been done there. And as I was preparing to depart, I ran into one of the city public works staff, and we had a delightful chat. And one of the things that he told me about, the process and everything that they were doing, and I was happy about all of that. But the thing that just delighted me to my core was that he said that the splash pad is now operational. Of course, we're not going to do it this season because the season is over, but not only did he say it was operational, but he also gave me a detailed plan of what's going to happen throughout the entire year so that next year we don't fall into this place again. And I am just beside myself with glee that that has happened. And so thank you for everyone who had anything to do with that. Secondly, I'm really looking forward to the Sunset Park groundbreaking. I can't wait to be there. And then I have just a few very quick comments about Montclair Chamber activities. The next e-waste event is for September 23rd and 24th, coming up this coming weekend. And that's at the Chamber office, which is at 8880 Benson Avenue. And then on October 19th, there will be the Montclair Chamber is hosting a college fair at Montclair Place. So if you know any students who are thinking about getting into college, registering for college for the fall, October is the time. So it's October 19th from 4 to 6 p.m. And then there's also the next networking breakfast is on October 12th at O Park. And what I'm really excited about for that breakfast is that we will have a presentation from AMPAC who helps small businesses get access to capital. So if there are any, well, of course the chamber is advertising it, but if you know of any small businesses that are struggling and need access to capital, please ask them to join us on October 12th at O Park at 8:30 for our networking breakfast so that they can hear from AMPAC. And lastly, I want to announce, if you could just put it on your calendars, hold some dates in your calendar, the chamber is hosting the firefighter recognition on the first week of November, and it'll be at Chino Basin Water Conservation District. So I will provide more information as it becomes available, but I hope that you will all be able to attend. And that concludes my comments.
Great. And I just want to announce Thursday, October 12th, there'll be 2 events on that day. At 11 o'clock on that day, Mayor Eaton will be recognized at the U.S. Postal Service here in Montclair. You finally have the name, the the building named after him in a ceremony with Congressman Torres' attendance. Again, that's 11 o'clock in the morning. And then at 1 p.m. At the Ontario Convention Center, there will be a ceremony as a groundbreaking for the West Valley Connector. That's that bus line that goes from Pomona along Holt through Ontario and also Rancho Cucamonga. Again, that's Thursday, the 12th at 1 p.m. And again, the Mayor Eaton's event will be at 11 o'clock in the morning. Councilmember, go ahead.
One more thing, Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, Ms. Councilmember. The one thing I forgot to add is that on Thursday, the 28th, we have a new restaurant with a ribbon cutting. It's said Cocina. Several staff members have told me they have been there, and I've heard that the food is divine. I haven't been there in its new iteration yet, but based on what I've heard from staff, I need to go. So on the 28th at noon, said Cocina. It's on Marino and Vernon. I hope to see you all there.
Okay. And finally, Councilmember Martinez.
Yes, thank you. Two quick things. One, I believe it was the mayor mentioned Hispanic heritage, and I saw some pride from the back of the room over there from the young man. So good job, keep it up. I love to see that. And then the second thing is when I was at the Chafee Alumni of the Year event, I had the opportunity to sit next to 3 Chafee, I'm not sure if they're Montclair to College, also staff members, and I was bragging about my sister who's in Chafee currently. And today she got an email asking to speak at a Montclair to College tour of Chafee. So they do not mess around. They got right on it. I volunteered her and they emailed her. So, so they're very hardworking, and congratulations to the Montclair to College program.
Okay. The young man in the audience, I hope you're enjoying the meeting, or your parents enjoying the meeting. Oh, the parents are, okay. We'll get you out of here right now. So let's go to closed session.